again, I'm Jay Hicks with Gerald Properties, and welcome back to Reviving Goolricks. As you can see, today we're far from Fredericksburg, Virginia. We're in Floyd, Virginia, south of Roanoke, visiting with Crenshaw Lighting. They're a metalworks and lighting company that work with some of the finest buildings in the country, Manhattan, Chicago, Minnesota, everywhere, doing with the best people, doing the best work. As they design, engineer, test, and fabricate, and they're helping us to revive Goolricks. Come visit with me as we see the craftsmen do their work here at Crenshaw Lighting. Hello again. We've made our way into the workshop here at Crenshaw Lighting and found our way to the bins of the decorative tin ceiling tiles that we had delivered down here in Floyd. You can see the collection here in front of me, and we're honored to be joined by Joe, one of the top craftsmen and team leaders down here in Crenshaw. And Joe, good to see you, man.
Good to see you.
Thank you for taking a break at this workshop here. You got
Absolutely
all kinds of stuff going on down here for places all across the country. You're doing new builds, you're doing restoration, and I think it's pretty clear we've asked you guys to jump in on some pretty heavy restoration. Okay. I think we've got a couple examples here of what we've provided to you guys to help us with. And so, Joe, why don't you, could you give us a little bit of a talking about what we're looking at and maybe some of the conditions of what the tiles are in and what you're working with?
Yeah, as far as the condition, what I've seen so far, the majority of them look like this.
Okay, so this is a pretty good condition.
This is the majority of them look kind of like this.
Okay.
But there is some of them that has extensive damage, a lot of rust, some holes, and it's just really bent and out of shape. But there's not that many of them that's like this.
Okay, so fortunately, a lot of them in good shape, but some of them are going to at least need some significant TLC from you guys and the skill that you guys bring to the work that you do. Now we've got the large tiles here, but we've got, you know, this was a usable space, so we've got all kinds of trim and cuts that you guys are going to work with, and you're going to work with all the pieces that we've got here. And we had borders going along the ceiling, and as we take a look here in a second, I'm sure Matt's going to show them, but we've got other bins with all those other little pieces that you guys are going to attend to as well, right?
Yeah, we went through and sorted out some of the smaller parts over there, and we've got some of the larger ones here.
But working it out, seeing what needs to be done, right?
Yeah.
All right, would you mind taking us around the shop and take a look at some of the work you're doing on the tiles as you're putting them back together? Yeah.
So first step that I'm doing is trying to get some of this old paint off. You can tell that it's got several layers on there. Of course, the paint, the first layer comes off relatively easy, pretty quick, but then some of it's kind of hard to get on, especially that last layer. You can tell it's been on there for a long time. Okay. So we're coming over here, we have some solvent set up, and we're letting it soak for a while. It softens it up, makes it a little easier to get off. Some of it we have to brush off. And then we're also taking some compressed air.
Okay.
Switch your eyes here. And some of it compressed air will just take some of it off also.
Okay.
It'll just blow a lot of it off. Right. Some of them you get lucky and it'll blow almost all of it off, and then some of them, sometimes it will stick on there. So.
Gotcha.
They all seem to be a little different, each piece as far as the paint goes.
But first step, obviously, cleaning it off, getting to the metal, determining what condition the metal is in before we take it to the next step.
Yeah.
All right. So I think we need to go to a different part of the shop to take a look at the next step.
Yep. So after we get as much paint off as we can, use that on the ones that's necessary. The ones that's not necessary,
Go straight
on to the next step.
Okay. Let's go do it.
Yep.
So we're in the fabrication area with the piece of tin that we were looking at before. What would you do next with this? First
thing is, like I said, every piece is a little different. So first I'll assess the damage, how much they are bent, and what needs to be done to kind of straighten them out first. Okay. And so using this metal table, we have an assortment of different hammers and tools, and I'll come and
Now, some of us might think of metalworking as bigger hammers and jacking. I'm sure you guys do some of that, but that looks pretty delicate work. It's got to be careful.
This is very thin, so you don't need nothing too large.
Okay. It's workable,
like
but it's also damageable. So it takes great care and skill to be able to do what you're doing.
Yeah, it's very thin, and if you're not careful, you could cause more damage. So that's the last thing we want to do.
Amen. Amen. All right.
So flip it to each side and just trying to flatten it out some. Some of them have the bent corners like that. And sometimes you can take some tools and just kind of get them back close as possible at this step. And then on the ones like this that has this roll on them, some of them are a little flattened out, a little bit damaged.
Yep. Lost the rise.
Yep. So the next thing I'll do is over here we have something that's called a bead roller, and that's what puts this bead in it. Right. And the ones that's needed, we'll run it through the bead roller.
Let's go take a look at the bead roller.
All right.
All right. All right, Joe. We made ourselves over to the bead roller, which you had to tell me that's what this thing is.
Yeah.
Show me what it does real quick before you run it through there.
Okay. This we can put different size rollers on here, dies, for whatever size you need, interchangeable, and it's adjustable for different thicknesses and lengths. This one here is set up right now for this bead here that's up close to the edge. Okay. And so I'll show you real quick.
I'll get my fingers out of the way.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's a hand crank as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you just make sure that it is up, seated well, and it'll roll just all the way across, and it's pretty much almost the exact dimensions as the original bead roll.
How about that?
Just like that.
And then the bead is back.
Yeah, and then this side, it's just,
it helps with some of flattened.
that. Yeah, so we'll do that side next.
Oh, heck yeah.
So it kind of brought back some of the damage where it was flattened out there.
Oh yeah.
But then after this step, the next step pretty much on these that look in pretty good shape, as this one is, is to sandblast it.
Okay. So could you show us the sandblaster?
Yep.
All right, Joe, thank you for bringing us over to the sandblaster, and then this day keeps getting better because now we got to meet your son, Ethan. Yeah. Is that right? Yeah. Ethan, come on, step up here, buddy. Ethan's the one actually doing the sandblasting. We've got the sandblasting machine behind us, and in a second we'll get him to show us what he does to put this together and make it look like this. But show us, okay, this is the piece, and talk about the process, and then let's show him what it looks like when it's done.
Yeah, so the next step, we have the sandblaster here. If you want to go ahead and open that up, Ethan, so we'll see what it looks like. And it's got the media that we're using right now. We call it glass bead. Okay. It's not real strong, so we don't have to worry about putting holes in it, because if you use aggressive sand, it could, on thin metal, you could put a hole in it. Yep. So you got to use something not quite as aggressive. We call it glass bead or bead blast. Okay.
That's a pretty drastic change, Joe. Show us that panel there, and this isn't painted in any way. This is literally just sandblasted to it down to the metal. Yeah. All right, that's pretty amazing, drastic change there. Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to take it on to the next station, talk about a little more repair. But as we get sent out of here, let's let Ethan show us how he operates this machine. All right, well, Joe, we've made it to another area of this really large workshop you guys got working on here. Doing, as we talked about, lots of projects, lots of important projects. This is the area you said that we're doing some patching. When we are going to have a tile that has an issue, a defect, a hole in it, this is where you're going to try and put some backing on that and address it. Just as an example, this is another one of those tiles and can show us a little bit of the damage. Now, have you found a lot of tiles in this type of condition where you've got a dramatic injury to it, if you will?
So far, we haven't found very many like this.
Okay, so you guys have just kind of getting started on this project. Have you found a large percentage of them need to be patched, or what kind of condition are they generally in?
So far, it's a low percentage that we've seen that's going to have a patch. I haven't seen hardly any of them that's got holes this big, very few.
Okay, good. So we're happy to hear that.
Yeah, we've seen a few of them that's got smaller holes in them.
Okay.
Which is some of these that we have here.
Well, that's what I want to take us to next. Is we've got a couple of pieces here that look like they've been sandblasted, and we're ready to go. So I'm going to set this one over here, and they have an example of small holes that you've already tried to repair. So can you show us the process you've used to put these back together?
Yeah, absolutely. So after it's sandblasted, we'll want to do it after it's sandblasted to make sure that it's clean and we have a good surface for our adhesive.
And this is the back, correct? So is this?
Yep,
so as an example, this is the back, and this is the front, where the decorative side that we're going to be exposing to the outside. So that's just what we're looking at. This is the rear, and so you've actually got the patch attached on the rear of it. And what does it do for us?
Well, it covers the hole, so you can flip that over and you'll see the hole on the other side.
Okay, so when we're doing this patchwork, I guess we're appreciating the delicateness of the product and not trying to really make it as it was, but we're going to put these things back on the ceiling. They're going to be functional, and with this work you're doing here, it's not going to be perfect, but it'll be completely functional in the way we need it to be.
Yeah, and then after we have after it gets painted and everything, this should blend in relatively well.
So it wouldn't be clearly visible to the naked eye up on the ceiling that this is what it is. Well, that's pretty fantastic looking work there.
After we do that, and we've already done all the other process, the sandblasting, the bead rolling and everything, that one's pretty much ready for paint.
We can go put paint on this one?
Yeah.
Let's go put some paint on it.
Okay.
Well, Joe, it smells like we're in the paint section.
Yeah, absolutely.
Paint station here at the workshop here at Crenshaw. And we've got some primer, it looks like, and we've got some shiny paint here. Yeah. How did we get from what you're holding to here?
Well, after we have it to this step, we bring it, to Travis. The first thing he's going to do is he's going to throw some primer on it, and it dries relatively quickly. And then after that, he puts the final piece on there, the final paint, and that's the paint that the last step, pretty much.
And then once it looks like this, we're ready to put it back up in Goolrick's.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, well, let's take a look at what Travis is doing over here and show the people how you do it. All right, that puts another fine finish on an episode of Reviving Goolrick. We need to thank the craftsmen here at Crenshaw Lighting for taking the time out of their day to show us some of the processes they're working on to help restore our ceiling tiles and put them back into their former glory, so when we attach them to those ceilings, all of us can enjoy them as the aesthetically pleasing features they are of Goolrick's. And we're going to keep this thing rolling, as we say time and time again. So we look forward to seeing you next time on another episode of Reviving Goolrick.
Please follow us on all our socials to stay up to date with the latest happenings.